On Monday, Hungary's government said it will ease its stance on a proposed tax on internet access after tens of thousands protested in Budapest. I'm joined by Tsvetan Hadzhiyski from CEEMarketWatch. So what are your views on this latest development and this unorthodox strategy by Orban?
The internet tax put the government in a very tight spot, which was kind of surprising, I think, both for the markets and for the government itself. I don't think that anybody expected such a huge public reaction from the proposed internet tax because, not the least, it's not the first unorthodox tax that the government introduces. It was kind of surprising that the public reacted so massively. But at any rate, the government track record is not one of backing off. So we think that the proposed softening of the conditions with the introduction of a tax ceiling is kind of the most that we can expect from the government at this stage. And at the end of the day, we believe that the government will be able to overcome and to contain the public dissatisfaction over the tax. The government enjoys a solid majority in the government. It has a very solid popularity ratings. So at the end of the day, we don't think that there is much political implications coming behind the internet tax. Also, the government will be very likely supported by other popular measures, which it plans to implement, like further utility cost cuts, the bank borrower compensations, which will leave a huge amount of money in households' pockets. I don't think there is much potential for further disturbance over the internet tax. And the internet tax itself, I don't think that it's a huge issue for the economy itself. It's kind of unorthodox in as much as it's again a sector-specific tax. Maybe you're aware that there is already a telecom tax in place in Hungary since a few years. So the government's rationale has been that a lot of the regular telecom services have gone over to the internet. So it's only natural to tax the internet as well. It's generally the internet tax is generally in line with the government's unorthodox tax policy so far.
Now, looking at the markets, tell us your views on the performance we are seeing with the foreign and government bonds.
I don't think that Hungarian assets are likely to be much affected by the domestic tensions. I think that markets know that the government is riding a relatively popular wave of measures, which I already mentioned, the overhead cost cuts and the attack on the banks, in support of retail borrowers. I think that generally the situation is under control from the government side. I don't think that further tension can be expected, and the internet tax itself, it's not a big deal for the economy. I don't think it can impact much the telecom sector. Well, according to government information, the tax represents around 30% of the sector's profit for last year. But the sector's investments are not very important for the economy. They represent less than 3% of the total investment in the economy. So I don't think that markets will downgrade their expectations on the economy because of the tax. So the forint has been somewhat stronger recently, while bonds have, government securities in general yields have behaved differently. There is a market downward trend with government T-bill yields, the short-term securities. This has been largely linked to the change in the monetary policy framework of the central bank, which released liquidity in the banking system, and which naturally went into government bonds, or at least part of it. While government bond yields have been more stable because nothing too important has been going on recently in Hungary. Domestic developments, I think, have been rather linked with international market liquidity or policies by the developed market central banks like the ECB or the Fed. Basically, the interesting question is currently very low yields at the short-term end of the yield curve. It's not something which is considered usual or something which can be sustained. It's kind of a question mark for me at the moment how the situation can develop at this stage. But I think that short-term yields are going to rise sooner or later, rather sooner than later.
Thank you very much for your time today. Well, viewers, do stay tuned as we have plenty more economic updates heading your way. See you very soon.